Hi guys, welcome to this Web Design Touch screencast. My name is Ian Yates, and today I'm going to be showing you a web font service which you may or may not have already heard of, called WebINK by the guys at Extensys. Now this is a semi-promo post which I'm not going to hide, but the fact is that in Vato we don't just endorse things because we're paid to endorse them. We promote things that we genuinely believe have value, and this is a service that we're going to be using ourselves in a coming Tuts Plus project, which I can't say too much about, but is well worth keeping your eye open for. So we believe that we should genuinely be encouraging you to check this out and take a look. So web fonts, it's a concept which we've become very familiar with over the last couple of years. Hosting of fonts on a web server, either our own or that of somebody else, and then referencing those fonts in our CSS or our HTML, and having access to those fonts from wherever our website is served. Brilliant concept, and there are all kinds of ways you can approach it. One thing which is an ongoing discussion in the web fonts world is licensing, and it's often a little bit of a grey area, especially if people are taking fonts and converting them themselves for use on the website. Exactly what the implications are of the licensing and exactly what that all entails. Services such as Google Fonts, of course, an extremely easy way of getting hold of free fonts. There are thousands and thousands on there now, and it's extremely easy to use. You just choose the fonts you want, and then you grab a snippet of CSS or HTML or whatever it happens to be, or even JavaScript, and then you can throw it into your project and off you go. And there are paid services as well. The problem with using free fonts is that arguably you're going to be taking a hit in terms of quality, and there are so many Google fonts around at the moment, and some of them are a little bit dodgy in terms of the standards that they follow. If you go for a paid service, there are many paid services out there, then the chances are you're going to be working with fonts developed by foundries who receive financial reward for developing their fonts. They therefore have more time and resources and motivation to get quality products out onto the market. So that's a very good reason for using a paid service and paying for the fonts that we use in our designs. The only downside to that is that you pay for it, and that's often something that turns developers and designers away from these sorts of services. But actually, when you think about it, it's a part of the product that you'll ultimately be selling onto a client anyway. So what really, as a designer, you're after is a service which allows you to develop for free and then pass on the costs to the client at the end of the project. And that's what WebINK allows you to do. So let me just introduce you to WebINK. This is the website, webink.com, and you can see very clearly there that they advertise their high quality web fonts for your website. And they have a number of tools, so aside from the fact that you can log in, create accounts and use the service itself, I'm first going to introduce you to a plugin that they have for Photoshop, which can help you in your workflow potentially. So we're first going to grab this and take a look at that. Now if you head on over to this webink.com/webfont plugin, you can come down here, and it's extremely easy to install. You just grab a download depending on your system. I'm not going to do that now because I've already installed it, and then as long as you're using Photoshop CS5 or above, it's all fairly straightforward. What it does is installs another Extensys product, Suitcase Fusion 4, which is ultimately a paid product, but you'll be given a 30-day trial period on that product when you first download this in order to run the extension in Photoshop. And when the 30 days is up, if you don't want to continue with that subscription, then just ignore it, and your Photoshop extension will just continue running. Absolutely no problem there at all. So let me introduce you to it. I'll open up Photoshop here, And once you've finished downloading and clicking and installing things, you come into Photoshop, and in your extensions menu you'll notice Extensis has appeared, and you can click that, and here you can see our little WebINK dialog here. Now there are a number of Extensis products and extensions for Photoshop, including a Google Web Fonts extension, which is also pretty handy should you want to be using Google Web Fonts. But we're demonstrating WebINK today, so I'm going to log into my WebINK account, having already made that, and I can connect to it through this extension. Now when that's finished connecting, you'll see that it drags in. It's updating my projects. That's something we'll talk about in once we've actually demonstrated a project. You can see that it lists thousands and thousands of the quality fonts from various foundries that they broker. Now let's choose ourselves a font. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to go to one of their more popular fonts, which is an extremely popular font actually. Let me just show you. Their most popular web fonts of 2012, Proxima Nova was their second most popular font, and that's one of the most downloaded fonts on any font service across the planet, because it's quite simply beautiful. So we're going to actually test that now for ourselves by searching for it. And the thing about Proxima Nova is that there's actually very little in the way to compete with it in terms of free fonts. So let's see, let's just go for not the alternative, let's go for Proxima Nova Bold, a classic, and I'll select that, and there's a little bit of a delay. Should I sing a song, perhaps? Something? I've killed my computer. No, I haven't. Come on, this is not going to die on me, is it? This always happens. Right, there we go. Not sure what that was about. So I'll click my type tool on the canvas. That's a great bit of promotion for the service, isn't it? Okay, let's just write something. And okay, so you can see that we've chosen our font through the WebINK extension, but we can continue to actually manipulate that font using the normal character and paragraph dialogues in Photoshop. There we go. So having completed our design and used whatever font we've decided to use within our design, it's fairly clear to us that that's what we want to be using. So we're now going to log into the same account that we have in WebINK, and this is how it works. You need to you have a type drawer. I'm already signed in, so I have a type drawer which I'm going to open here, and in that type drawer I can have multiple projects. So you can see a project as being a client project, which is a fairly logical way of organizing things. So I'm going to kick off a project, and I'm going to call this Design Tuts, and I'm going to create this project. Now I already decided in my little design there that I wanted to use Proxima Nova Bold, so I'm going to grab that by searching for it here, because there are so many fonts from so many foundries. That was my best telemarketing voice. Okay, so I click on this particular font. Oh, hang on, let me go back there. You'll notice that this little P here shows that this particular font is available in that plugin that we were just examining in Photoshop. So click on that, take a look at the font. It's exactly what we're after. You can manipulate this font in various ways as well. And having decided that that's what we're after, thank you Mark Simonson Studio, we're going to add this to the project. Now Proxima Nova comes in so many variations. You can then choose to drill down and select only the particular variants that you want in your project. because obviously the more fonts that we choose, the more fonts we're going to be dragging into our web page, and that's all going to have an influence on the performance. So I only really want Nova Bold, and I'm going to chuck a couple of extra in here as well, just for the sake of demonstration. Or I could check this box here and have them all clicked. So having just one project listed here at the moment, I'm going to click my Web Design Tuts project and add those fonts to that project. For the sake of demonstration, I'm also going to click on something else, which is fine. Let's add that to the project as well. Just a normal. There is only one style. And of course, you can browse and search their whole font collection in terms of all kinds of attributes here, depending on exactly what it is you're looking for. Searching for fonts in various services is something that we've become used to over the course of the last few years anyway, so that's all fairly self-explanatory. Okay, so I've added a couple of fonts to my project. Let's go back to my type drawer. I can see my project here. Now I'm in developer mode at the moment, and you can see here on the side it says that my account is free whilst it's in development mode. It's limited to 10 unique IP hits per day. So if I were to put this on a web server, for example, up to 10 different IP addresses could access that web page and check it out. So if I'm working with a client, I'm unlikely to need more than that anyway. So that's perfectly acceptable while you're working in a developer account. So we'll take a look at our project Web Design Tuts, and you can see that ideally you want to be adding domains. So let's go and add a domain that we can actually register for this project. And I'm going to be demonstrating this by putting it on a domain that I have called snaptin.com. I'm going to add that to the project. Localhost is actually included anyway, so if you're just developing this on your own machine, you don't need to bother registering that domain. But in any case, every project is registered to a domain, which prevents people, of course, being able to check out the source and grab the links to your fonts, which you're paying for, or your client's paying for, and then adding them to another project on another domain somewhere. That's not going to work. So it's for your own protection as well as theirs, I suppose. So I can see my domain there, and my checklist here says that I've added a font, I've configured a domain, but actually I don't need to be adding any payment information at the moment because I'm not going to be paying for anything. So let's see, where were we? We have our project. We have several fonts which I added, and now I just need to go and add that to my project. So I can do that in a number of ways. I can get some CSS. You can either link these to your page like so, or you could link them directly in your CSS with an import statement. And one other thing you can do, I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute. For the time being, we're going to grab the HTML, which for the purposes of demonstration serves us extremely well. So I'll copy that, and I'm going to go into Coda, where I started a new file. So we have index.html. I'm just going to paste the entire contents of what they gave us, which contains at the top a dodgy doc type declaration, old school. We've got our link here, which brings in the font. Then we have some inline styles here, just for the sake of styling this page. And here is the content. Now, if I save this, I'm just going to upload it to my server. And then let's have a look here. WebINK. Here it is on the web. Well, that doesn't look right for a kickoff. There we go. Refresh the page. There was something wasn't bringing the fonts in for whatever reason on that first occasion. So here we have all our various fonts demonstrated, and that's all fairly clear. You've got all the various Proxima Nova bits and pieces that we just defined in our project. What we might want to do is change the way these are referred, change the way these are referenced. Currently they use all the appropriate names as the fonts are called, but say for example, for whatever reason, you want to change the way that we refer to Proxima Nova regular, and we're just going to call this, we'll call it WD Tuts Reg. So submit that, and you'll see that that's explained here at the bottom. So once again, I'll grab the HTML because that's going to alter the way in which the fonts are brought in. Paste that in, and you'll see that here that's actually referenced as WD Tuts Reg in the CSS that it's dragging in. So save that, publish it again, and if I go back and refresh the page, this is no longer displaying the correct font because the inline style here is calling Proxima Nova regular, whereas in the actual CSS now it's called WD Tuts Reg. Pressing enter there, you'll see that just flipped and changed, and this is the font family that it's using, you see. So, having completed development of our type project, we've chosen fonts, we've selected to work on a single domain whilst we're in development, we've grabbed the download snippets, whether that was through the CSS import statement or whether it was the HTML link, and now we've signed the project off with the client, so they're all happy. They now need to be signing up with WebINK for their own account, at which point we can then transfer the whole project to them. So that's simply a question of hitting transfer, and then assuming they have an account already, we're going to that's my Envato account, please don't spam me. We're going to transfer that to them, and you can see that now our transfer has been initiated, and I, as Ian at Envato, will now get an email saying, welcome, you are about to accept a project, which is great. Now I don't actually want to do that because I don't want to get rid of this project for the time being. I'm going to cancel that. So one more thing I wanted to show you, if we go back to Photoshop and we have to restart our little extension there, I'm going to connect that. When it restarts, you'll notice that, oh hang on, here we go with the wheel again. It's going to update my project. Having now completed a project, that will be available for me. Let's see, where is it? Here we go. Yeah. Here we have the six fonts that I just selected in my web design project. They're now available for me extremely easily, which is obviously very helpful when you're actually working on a project. So that was the last thing I wanted to show you in terms of Photoshop. One final last little trick that they have up the sleeve at WebINK is, let's see, we'll go to one more little, here we go, test web fonts on any site. This is another little tool which you can play around with. I'm not sure it's entirely as useful as any of the other things that we've played with, but this is a bookmark that which you drag into your bookmarks, and I'm going to now open Web Design Tuts and just show you that hitting this bookmark brings up a dialog, and I can now select any block of type such as the headings on our tutorials, and I can drag a font onto that, instantly changing the font that it's displayed in. Worth noting that this is only in my browser, just in case you think that it's actually changing the Tuts Plus website. It's not. And then of course I can alter the size of that font and various other little nonsense things that I really would never want to be doing in real life. So there you go, that's WebINK. It's a great service. It's an interesting way of working with type in your own workflow, and it's well worth checking out. Thanks for watching.